the task force that we're creating is going to be composed of up to 9 people. 2 of the appointments essentially already have been made because they are slots that are designated by the planning board and the historical commission. The planning board has designated their member James Barr, and the historical commission has designated Bob Bush. So those 2 appointments are considered made already. Which means we have up to 7 additional positions that are open for appointment to members at large of the community. We had put out a call for volunteers, and you find folks all threw your name in the hat. And what I'd like to do, first of all, is before we start, just summarize what the expectations for the committee are. And hopefully everybody's had a chance to look through the charge creating the commission. But I'm just going to read it in case anybody hasn't had the chance to go through it. The purpose of the Town Building Task Force is to conduct a comprehensive data-driven assessment of the long-term viability, financial sustainability, and community value of retaining and maintaining the Town Hall and Houghton building compared with the alternative option of selling one or both buildings and pursuing a commercial lease for municipal operations within the town of Bolton. The task force will evaluate structural conditions, capital needs, operating costs, historical significance, community use, and market conditions to develop a clear recommendation for the select board and residents. The time frame for this is the select board will be requesting a draft report to be submitted in December of this year, with a final report to be submitted by February of 2027, with a view to presenting the findings and recommendations at a future town meeting, either at the annual town meeting in May of 2027 or potentially before that if the committee is able to conclude its work more expeditiously. So I think that this task force is going to require a significant commitment of time and energy. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows up front that this is going to be a little bit labor intensive for a 6-month period or so. So that's just sort of the setup of the committee. We have put out a call in our charge. We are looking for diversity of participants from the at-large members, including a range of ages of members in the town, people with interest or experience in culture, art, and recreation, architecture, the real estate profession, construction, and finance. So that being said, Brian and Bill, I know I sort of sprung it on Marie at the last minute, but have you guys each had a chance to come up with a question or 2 that you'd like to pose to the interviewees?
Yes.
Yes, and actually, Kate, can you hear me?
Yep.
I did have a question about whether you were going to give an opportunity for each of the folks that were here today to just introduce themselves.
Yeah, what I thought we would do is go through alphabetically and let everybody introduce themselves a little bit and ask our couple of questions and just go through alphabetically that way. Does that make sense, Brian?
Yep, great.
All right, so let's see. Do we have Nicole? I am not seeing Nicole Boucher.
Thank you.
Could everybody mute themselves if you're not speaking? Thank you. Okay, so we will come back to Nicole if she enters the meeting. Otherwise, we can just go through the statement that she submitted at the end. But that would make our first applicant, Matt Bosselet. Hi, Matt.
Hey, good evening. How are you?
Good. Thank you for volunteering. Do you want to give us just, a 30-second or 1-minute snapshot of who you are and why you're interested in serving on the task force?
Yeah, sure. So, Matt Bosselet, I fall in the 30 to 40 age bracket. I've lived in town for 34 of those years. Grew up here on Laurel Road. Was fortunate enough to build a house across the street from my parents. So my interest stems from not only the construction side, have a little bit of experience in that, but the majority of my professional career has been in the emergency management world, specifically logistics and environmental. So dealing with environmental emergency response and facility assessments for disaster deployments. So have a lot of experience looking at aging facilities for lead, asbestos, PCB, environmental contamination, what it would take to mitigate or address those hazards in various and sundry ways, as well as really looking at the workflows that go into a building. So in order to stand up some certain things like assessing what it is people need to do their work, boiled down, not just, this is how we do it on the day-to-day, but really what goes into that from those assessments that I did when I worked for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So it's a little bit about me and why I thought I could be beneficial to this process.
Great. Thank you so much. Bill, do you want to start off? And then Brian, and then I'll go. And then we can do a second round of questions if we have them.
Sure thing. Matt, thanks for volunteering. My question is, how do you think the community at large should be involved, engaged in these decisions?
So I think what I was super impressed with the charge of this is that you guys were looking for that kind of diverse age range. One of the big problems I see with town government is that it tends to be the same people. So the fact that this is going to be a big group of a diverse audience, I think is great. As we start to develop draft recommendations, my recommendation to the committee would be to have some sort of town hall or community forum. These are some of the draft ideas we're proposing. Come in and meet for the community at large, but then also some of the subsects of the groups we're looking at. So if we're looking at the Houghton building, really focusing on what organizations use the Houghton building, what organizations use the town hall. So target maybe the Council on Aging, invite them to have a specific session. Maybe Friends of the Library trustees, some of the Parks and Rec, the youth groups, tailor it to who's going to be affected by this. And then really the town employees have a specific forum for those people who spend 40 plus hours a week serving us, such that they have an opportunity for their voice to be heard.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Matt. So my question, and Kate, just to be clear, I'm planning to ask everybody basically the same question.
Yeah.
My question is around the internal workings of the task force. So we could have 9 people on it with maybe a diversity of views about what the ultimate recommendation or recommendations should be. So I don't know if you have any thoughts about whether you think that the task force should endeavor to reach consensus or to perhaps have a process for a dissenting view to be put forward by some members.
Yeah, so honestly, as you were framing your question, the first thing I thought of was the Supreme Court and how sometimes it's fun to read the dissenting opinion. So I think that there would be an opportunity for that. I think that that's an important dialogue because none of these things are going to be universally accepted. And at the end of the day, I think that we do need to present a majority opinion, and to a certain extent, almost a menu is the way I see it of hey, this is what the group consensus was. That's option A. The dissenting opinion was option B, and then there's always option C, which is do nothing, and then option D is something, and really lay out to the voters of here's what we're thinking and why, as we start having a conversation, because at the end of the day, it's their tax dollars at work.
Thank you.
Okay. And my question is, Matt, whether you come in with any preconceived notions of what the result here should be, or whether you're going in with an open mind for all options.
I mean, my preconceived notion is we need to do something. Just as someone with an environmental background, I have some concerns about those spaces. As someone who's walked through those spaces, I am very concerned about ADA compliance, and just kind of safety in general. So I don't think that doing nothing to me is not an option. In terms of what the end goal looks like, I couldn't tell you yet. But I think that we need to do something. So that's my preconceived notion is that the status quo is not acceptable.
Well, I suspect that we all agree with you, or we would not be here tonight. So thank you. Okay. Thanks very much. Does the board have other questions?
My only thing, Kate, would be that we just ask everybody to give a simple yes or no to your question around availability to attend multiple meetings over the next 6 months, including potential site visits.
Okay, so then I'll just follow up with my second question, which is, I mentioned at the beginning what a time commitment this is going to be. Do you have any impediments, Matt, over the next 6 to 7 months that would prevent probably multiple meetings a month, and site visits throughout town and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so I do work a normal like 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. So if it's a site visit during the workday, we'll just have to schedule that long enough in advance to try to make that work. Kind of the beginning or the end of the day is best. As well as I'm expecting my first child at the end of August. So that will be at least a few weeks where Zoom is going to be preferable. Can probably sneak away for an hour or two, but a long site visit might be a little bit of a challenge in there. But other than that, very used to being flexible with this sort of stuff. I work for the town on call now, so I'm very used to large chunks of time being devoted to town issues.
All right, thanks, Matt. Okay, the next alphabetical candidate is Dwayne Clocker.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thanks. How are
You
y'all
wanna-
doing?
Good. Thank you
Good.
for volunteering. You
You
want to?
bet. Yeah, I'm
introduce
excited for
yourself?
this. Sure. I'm Dwayne Clocker. I've lived here in Bolton going on almost 6 years now. We relocated here from Texas, and we love it up here. I moved up here for my job. I've been in the construction industry and architecture for 35 plus years now, and just want to have a passion for historical buildings and kind of hopefully the preservation of them and the use that the town would be able to use. And just want to throw my name in the hat and do everything that I can to help on the construction side of things and just whatever else is needed. So,
Well, thank you very much. Welcome to town, although you've
mhm.
been here for a little while, but
Yes.
it's nice to see new faces volunteering for town positions.
Perfect.
Bill, you want to go ahead with your first question? You are muted.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Thanks, Dwayne. And thanks for volunteering. My question is the same. How do you think the community at large should be involved, engaged in these decisions?
Yeah, I think just openness from our committee to the town and to the people that want to be involved. So that being very transparent. I like the idea of either during the selectmen board, meetings that possibly to have a time where we could give updates as we're proceeding along during the process, and then at the end, obviously, too, being able to report out to the town at the town meeting would be great. So, but I think transparency is the main thing that I think people are going to want to see and understand. So,
Thank you.
Hi, Dwayne. It's really nice to meet you. Thanks for
you as well.
stepping forward. Yeah, so
Sure.
again, my question is around the internal workings of the task force and whether you have a feeling about whether the task force should aim to all have a unified view of what the recommendations are, or whether you think there should be a process for dissenting views to be put forward.
Agree. I think there should probably be a process for a dissenting, because I know getting 9 people to agree is probably not going to be real easy, especially when it comes to to dollars that it may cost. So that will be important for the town to understand that there are other options or were other options that were put forth and discussed and understood. But I think a consensus between, all members that what the best recommendation is.
Thank you.
Okay, and again, my question is, do you have availability to attend multiple meetings per month and make site visits?
Yeah.
To be dedicated over the next 7 months?
Yeah, that's not an issue at all. Again, I work, same way as 9 to 5 job, but I do have flexibility if needed for, daytime site visits and that kind of thing that I can be available for, but so yes.
Okay, and then the last question is, do you have any preconceived ideas of what the outcome should be with regard to these properties?
I No, I mean, I know what I would like for it. I would love for the buildings to be able to be preserved because they do play an important part to the town and the image of the town as well. But understanding that that's not always a possibility is known as well. So it's like the idea is to try to save the architecture to me personally, but understanding that that's not always the case, I guess.
Great, thank you. Next is Bob Sikansky. Hi, Bob.
Kate, this is Ken. I sent a note, I tried to do a chat, but I'm waiting outside the concert at Neshoba. And it's gonna start in about 10 minutes. Is it possible that I could be taken out of turn?
I think that is a perfectly reasonable request, Ken. And Bob's
Thank you,
giving a
Ken.
thumbs up. So, okay, Ken, why
Sorry,
don't you
Bob.
go ahead and introduce yourself?
I'm Ken Troop. I've lived in town for 50 years and been involved in town government for most of those. After leaving the select board in 2010, I've been involved with Bolton Access TV and master plan and other things of that sort. And I guess one of the things in this may tap into your second question is that I was involved in the renovation of the Houghton building to be what it is now. And that doesn't mean I have a preconceived notion that something else couldn't be done, but we made quite an impact on the renovation of that building and the way that it's being used. And so I would like to bring that kind of stuff, bring that kind of stuff to the table.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Bill, you want to go ahead with your question?
Sure. Thanks, Ken. How do you think the community at large should be involved, engaged in these decisions?
Oh, as much as they can. I mean, certainly it ought to be a town meeting vote in the end. And so this task force is a good way to get that started, and sharing the information would help. Whether, it's hard to say exactly what kind of input we'll get, but it's certainly worth trying to get that community input, yes.
Hey, Ken, this is Brian. Nice to see you. Yeah, I was just wondering if you could respond to my question around consensus versus dissenting views on the committee.
Oh, we certainly need to have dissenting views as well. And that's why it has 9 people. So you can have a 5-4 vote if necessary to do that. So I think we need to have all views included in it and discuss it.
Thanks.
I'm standing outside and everybody is trying to get in the 3 doors that won't open. So I'm just gonna hold them.
Well, since you already pretty much answered my second question, let me ask my first one, which is, do you have the ability to attend multiple meetings a month and to attend site visits?
Probably I do. It would be best if they're online rather than in person, although obviously site visits are fine. But I think I can do that.
Okay, great. Well, you already answered my second question, so go on in and enjoy the concert.
Great. Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Ken.
Sorry to interrupt. Go to it, Bob.
All right, Ken, no problem. I'm a little anxious, so that you gave me a little extra time here is wonderful. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, go for it, Bob.
Bob Sikansky. I've been a resident of Bolton for over 30 years. Raised my family here, raised my children here. They attended the local school system, have done very well since then. Very, very proud of that. I've been involved in local affairs, youth sports, the scouting movement. Had several leadership positions in my church over the years. Spent I don't know, 7 or 8 years on the advisory committee and served as chairman of that a couple of times. Served just over 2 terms on the select board and was chair of that a couple of times. Did a lot of work with budgets, financing, capital planning. So I've got a lot of familiarity with a lot of the procedures and I guess how the town has historically approached financial questions. Currently, I'm on the high school building committee. I'm chairing that committee, and I think what I could bring to the group would be, you asked if there was a preferred outcome. I'd like to kind of focus on a process where I would really like to gather as much information, or I hope the committee wants to gather as much information as possible about current expenses, what are likely expenses to be going forward, taking a good look at the financial alternatives, whether they be renting or space or something else, and being able to extrapolate that over a period of 5 to 10 years or more. I think I could facilitate that kind of analysis if that's what the committee decides to pursue. So that's my background.
Thanks very much. Go ahead, Bill.
Thanks, Bob, and it's good to see you. Same question. How do you think the community at large should be involved, engaged in these decisions?
Well, frankly, it's going to be hard to improve upon the answers that Matt and Dwayne and Ken have already given. Certainly, those are all good perspectives to have for this. I think that's certainly the community should be involved. I think this group has to be kind of creative about how to do that, because having been in particularly on advisory for many years, there's a lot of things that just fly under the radar and don't get the attention they deserve until it comes time to vote for the money at town meeting. So this committee has to really get creative on how to engage people before it gets to a final vote. So do I have any ideas to do that? Well, there's Zoom meetings, there's other things. I hope that in the course of having these meetings and having the on-sites, we get some additional ideas on how to approach people. But it is important to bring into the process as many people as you can, at least to do the education of what the issues are. And I think it's important for the committee to clearly delineate the main issues that they want the voters to react to and decide on.
Thank you.
Hey, Bob, it's great to see you. I think you already know.
Nice to see you.
I think you know what my question is. So do you want to offer an answer?
why don't you go ahead and make
Re-ask.
it
So,
formal so everyone's treated the same?
oh, see, look at you being so process oriented. That was a trick. Um, I'm wondering if you have any views on the task force internal operation, specifically around whether it should aim to reach consensus on its ultimate recommendations or to have a process for dissenting views on those ultimate recommendations.
I think if there are dissenting opinions, they're going to come out whether the committee has a process or not. And so I think we just have to accept the fact that that's going to happen. I think it's important to identify those areas where there is consensus and clearly separate those from the areas where there is a division of opinion. Because it's not enough to say, you know, I'm for or against it. It's if there's no consensus at all on the committee, then the committee as a whole is a failure. There's got to be some consensus on some issues, and where there's a divergence of opinion, we highlight those. But you've got to emphasize where the consensus is.
Thank you.
Okay, and my question is on availability for multiple meetings per month and site visits.
Yeah, right now I don't see that there'd be any issues with that.
Okay.
I don't have any long-term commitments.
Okay. And the last question is whether, and I think I already know your answer based on your what you've already said, but do you have any preconceived notions as to what the outcome should be going into it?
No, I'm more focused on the process and looking to see where that leads.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Let's see, the next name is Pani Gherkin, but I do not see her here, so we will skip to Sue Mitra. Hi, Sue.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Good. So I'm Sue. I've lived here in town for 3 years now. I'm in one of the historic homes on Main Street. My background is really that I was trained as a carpenter, a rough frame carpenter. I also have some experience in timber frame reconstruction and construction, whatever. I own and operate a landscaping and carpentry business right now, and I also volunteer in town already with the Historical Society, and I'm on the Conservation Commission.
Great, well, thank you for volunteering for another task. Bill?
Hey, Sue, thanks for your time. Same question. How do you think the community at large should be involved, engaged in these decisions?
So, I mean, I think the people that we really need to start talking to are the people who use the buildings, those who work there every day, and also those who maintain them. Should the community at large, the greater community, be involved? Absolutely. Definitely with town meeting or town discussions. But yeah, my focus is really on the people who work in those buildings.
Okay, thank you.
Sue, thanks so much for stepping up. My question, as you know, is around the function of the task force. And I'd love to get your views on whether it should be aiming to have sort of a unified voice in its recommendation or to allow for official dissenting views at the end.
Oh yeah, there should always be dissenting views or a multitude of views. I don't know that we're necessarily going to come to a consensus, and I think it's important for people to kind of get all of those options on the table.
Okay. And the same question in terms of availability, are you available for multiple meetings a month and for site visits?
Should be no problem. I set my own schedule, so I'm available. I can be available during the day quite a bit, so.
All right, and the final question is whether you have any preconceived notions as to what the outcome should be at the end of the day.
No, not really. Like, I want to get more information and kind of see what makes the most sense.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Next up is Bruce Slater. Hi, Bruce.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good. You want to introduce yourself?
I'm Bruce Slater. I fall in the 60 to 65-year-old category. I've been here 65 years. I own Slater's Restaurant since 1998 rather. And you're just a lifelong resident and looking to help and volunteer my time to try to make the town a better place for everyone.
Well, we appreciate you volunteering, so thank you. Bill?
Hey, Bruce, thanks for
Hey,
your
Bill.
time. How do you think the community at large should be involved, engaged in these decisions?
I think that getting a group of folks together and just trying to come up with the best use of the buildings. I, for one, would like to see them kept intact, and I don't think the town has space for town offices, especially with the high school going on. So, yeah, I think just to try to utilize what we have and see where we go. I mean, I think the task force would be the best thing. Try to figure out, what it needs. So like someone said earlier, for the employees that work there, it's important. And like I said, they're historical buildings as well, so that's mentioned. So I remember going to third and fourth grade at the Houghton building. They built an addition on Emerson, so it's a nice building. I like them.
Thank you.
Hey, Bruce. Also, could you do me a favor and try to speak a little bit more closely to wherever your mic is? Because I'm having
Okay.
trouble picking up. But I also have a bad internet connection today, so it could be me. Yeah, I was wondering if you could just share your thoughts on whether the task force ought to be trying to aim for issuing a consensus recommendation at the end, or to come to the board and town meeting with potential dissenting recommendations.
I guess someone said earlier, I guess we won't know until we meet one another and go over what are the needs of the buildings. I think that's a tough question, just to of course you want everybody to agree and whatnot, but until we get our hands in there and eyeballs on it to see exactly what needs to be done, and move from there.
Thank you.
Okay, and the same question, which is whether you have the availability for multiple meetings a month, as well as site visits.
Yeah, most definitely. My son will be graduated college last year, and he'll be taking a bigger role in the restaurant. So yeah, I live in town, and I really don't have the 9 to 5. So yes, I'm definitely available for meetings and or site visits.
Okay, great. And you sort of touched on this, but I also was having a little trouble hearing some of what you said earlier. So I'm going to ask my second question again, which is whether you have preconceived notions as to what the outcome should be of the task force.
I would like to see the building saved.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Very welcome.
We already heard from Ken, and our last applicant is Chris Tuck, who did let us know that he was not going to be able to be here tonight, but that he is still interested. So we have 3 people who were not present, but I think we can, does the board mind just considering them based on information that they've submitted and just sort of reviewing what their submissions were. Let me just scroll down. So the first person was Nicole Beauchesne, who indicated that she is an interior designer, property manager, and community event planner. She is a lifelong Bolton resident, interest in preserving town history. And the next person is Penny.
Hey, in the packet, Penny's submission was right after Nicole's. I think it's
Yeah, I think I scrolled past it.
yeah, PDF page 11.
All right. Okay, so Penny expressed interest, highlighting her involvement in reviewing and developing the requirements for municipal buildings for the town of Bolton for the past 35 years, including the Emerson School 1972 renovation, the review of Emerson 22 and 52, the original town hall renovation, and the Houghton Building reuse renovation. She also highlights her background in finance, municipal operations, and community planning, and has indicated that she wants to take everyone's interests into consideration. And the last person is Chris Tuck, who expressed interest and has experience as an architect. Does the board have any more questions for any of the applicants before we move to deliberations?
I have one, Kate, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Dwayne, this question is for you. Can you give us a brief overview of your construction experience?
Sure. Yeah. Like I said, I've been in construction about 35 years, mainly on the estimating side. It's majority of it is commercial buildings. And then since I've moved up here, I've been involved with renovations of Bay State Hospital, and we did a Connecticut Children's Tower, and currently working on a new ground up building for Yale University.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Kate, I had actually a question for Jim Barr and Bob Bush, who would be sort of the designees of both the Historical Commission and the Planning Board. And it was actually, I was hoping that each of you could say a little bit about your either professional background or other skills that are relevant to this position beyond just your membership on the planning board and the historical commission. And the reason I'm asking is not because I don't think that's great qualifications, but more it'd be just helpful to know if there's like overlap with your skills and some of the other at-large community members. So I guess we could start with
Okay.
Jim.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, Jim Barr. I believe I'm going on my third term as a full third term for planning board. My background is also construction. I'm in the Carpenters Union, and I am currently a senior technical coordinator with our training fund. And throughout the years, not only was I in the field, but managing instructors, but also I was also involved in facility maintenance as well. So that's pretty much my, a lot of my background is construction, and so commercial construction and everything else. So I have a kind of a broad scale of just different things I've done over the years. And like I said, I was involved in bidding, a little bit of estimating on some work that we did on some of our facilities, but I've taken more of a management role outside of that. But I still, just because of my institutional knowledge, I still am involved in IT and everything else like that. So that's pretty much my background.
Great, thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, I don't have direct experience in construction. I was a 42-year engineering project manager. So I've had systems installed all over the world. I've contracted for construction work. I've had people work for me that have done that, but I personally haven't done too much of it. And since I've retired, I've been on the historical commission now for probably 15 years, and been through some interesting situations there.
Okay,
Thank you,
great.
Bob.
All right. So we are going to enter into deliberations. And I guess the first thing that we should decide is that the mission statement authorizes up to 9 members, 2 of whom are already designated. So we can appoint up to 7 additional members tonight. And we have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people who came tonight and met with us and answered our questions. So the question is, do we want to appoint the full 7 that we are authorized to appoint? And I'd be curious as to what Bill and Brian each think.
I think that 7 plus the 2 sitting members would be a good committee.
Yeah, I agree for a couple of reasons. One is that I think since this task force will be subject to open meeting law and quorum requirements, having more members actually makes it a little bit easier to make quorum. And I also like the idea of having an odd number of voting members just in case there are some areas of disagreement. And I guess the third reason is that I actually think everybody that stepped forward to volunteer would be, we have more than 7 great folks to consider. So let's fill the bench.
Yeah, it makes our decision a little bit easier with 7 than a less number. I agree.
Okay, and I agree with that as well. I'm very excited to see the amount of interest that we received for this task force. So let's go ahead and discuss the process for appointing 7 at-large members. There are a couple of ways we could do it. We could each go through and kind of in a round robin each talk about who we would like to appoint, each pick one person and see if we can agree on a slate. We could, if the board was interested, appoint the 6 members, the 6 individuals who we've interviewed tonight, and then talk about the other 3 who we haven't had the chance to talk with. So I am happy to hear from Bill and Brian as to what your thoughts are in terms of process.
So I'll go first, which is that one thing I've learned with volunteering in town is that like 90% of it is showing up and being available. And I understand people have reasons that they couldn't be here, but I'm really grateful for the folks that did come tonight. And since I think that everybody that we have here has good skills to bring to bear, I would feel comfortable having the 6 who showed up tonight and then discussing the 3 who weren't able to attend and picking one of them. But there may be dissenting views.
Okay, Bill, what are your thoughts?
I agree with that. I'm okay with the 6 that showed up tonight.
That makes this part very easy. So I agree with that as well. So I think we have a slate of 6. Plus we will also be formally appointing James and Bob, which means that we will need to deliberate over the remaining 3 applicants who are Nicole, Hanny, and Chris. I've put you guys on the hot seat a couple of times. I will give you my thoughts. I would like to see Penny on it because I think she brings a very diverse skill set. From knowledge of the buildings to municipal inner workings to municipal finance. So that would be my thought.
I agree, and there's an extra element related to her role with the Council on Aging. I know that when we did some site visits, one of the things we were thinking about were potential ways that facilities could help improve the programmatic options for the Council on Aging. So I'd love her perspective. But again, I just want to emphasize, like, the other two would have been great as well. So we were in a really fortunate situation.
Bill?
I agree. I think Penny would be a good choice.
Okay. Jenny, when we do the appointments, do we also need to appoint Marie as a non-voting member and a DPW designee as a non-voting member?
That
Your
would be
view-
convenient.
What's that?
That would be convenient.
Okay, all righty. Okay, any other questions or deliberation by the board?
Not deliberation, but there was something that I wanted to say to the folks that are here, but we can wait till after we vote.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion to appoint James Barr, Bob Bush, Matt Bossele, Dwayne Clocker, Bob Sikansky, Penny Gherkin, Sue Mitra, Bruce Slater, and Ken Troop as voting members of the task force, and Town Administrator Marie Sabelvero as a non-voting member, and a DPW designee as a non-voting member to the building task force?
So moved.
Second that.
Okay, roll call. Brian,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. Thank you all very much for your willingness to volunteer. I think this is going to be a very controversial issue in town. It may not be controversial until town meeting time, but I suspect it will be controversial. So I appreciate all of your willingness to jump into the fray.
Thank you.
One thing that, and somebody, I can't remember who, touched on something that I'd like to request, which is, while we're requesting the draft report by December of this year, I think it would make sense to set maybe 2 check-in points between now and December for you to designate somebody just to update the board as to where you are, any issues you're running into, any early consensus that everybody's finding. And my thought was maybe to do a check-in toward the end of August. We'll try to schedule it around the birth of Matt's child so that he is not inconvenienced. And then maybe another one toward the end of October, just so we can, hear where you guys are. Brian, you had something else?
Yeah, I just wanted to say a little bit about why I was curious around, sorry, just hold on one second. Where Matt, fast forward 8 years with the child and you'll see what's happening right now with mine. So what I was gonna say is I actually think this task force can do a lot of help in getting us and the community ready for town meeting by surfacing, like to Bob Zakansky's point, surfacing the areas of agreement and then very clearly delineating the parts that there is an agreement. But I would also challenge you to try to be movable and persuadable, because ultimately I think whatever we go with to town meeting, if it's been thought out and people have been open to changing their minds or perspectives based on, the best evidence, hearing about that will really facilitate town meetings. So anyway, I thought you all gave great answers to that question. And I thank you in advance for helping to smooth that process over for us.
Okay. Anything else from the board?
No,
All right.
Thank everyone for volunteering your time. It's going to be a good bit of work.
What are you expecting as the next steps?
So I think, Marie probably will help you cobble together your first meeting.
We'll help with the first meeting, but your next step is to get sworn in by the town clerk.
I was gonna ask that question.
Yes, yes. And then I will be sending out like a doodle poll to find out what times are most available or most optimal for everyone. And we'll pull together the initial agenda, the first item being, the nomination of the chair of the committee.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions for the board or for Marie before we adjourn? All right, well, a final thank you to you all.
Thank
And
you.
I hope everybody's got their air conditioning on. Just telling the board, mine is officially in as of 10 minutes before this meeting, so.
Yeah, thank you all.
Yep,
All
thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you.
look forward to it.
All
Thank
right, everybody have a
Okay.
good night. And is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
Roll call, Bill,
Yes.
Brian,
yes.
and I am also a yes. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Have a
Night.
good
Good
evening.
night.
Bye-bye.